Fox threatens to sue Tucker Carlson for violating his contract with the launch of his new Twitter show that 80 million people and counting watched. So why are they doing this? I think they want Tucker Carlson to shut up until after the election. It makes no sense why they would take him off the air, but then also say you can't talk. Like he made a Twitter video and they're saying you've breached your contract. Why?
Yeah.
Because he posted a video of himself on Twitter. That's normal social media. Well, this is what we're just talking about with critical thinking in the press. The press does not want anyone breaking the narrative, so they remove Tucker from the airwaves.
Exactly. And so we saw this with James O'Keefe, right? And Project Veritas coming after him. Again, not knowing a whole lot about the law or the legal precedent that's there. The fact that they would remove him from their organization and then try to stop him from doing his journalistic work when he's no longer with that organization suggests to me, in my personal humble opinion, that there are issues with the journalism he's doing because he's no longer affecting them in any way unless that's the thing that concerns them. So similarly with Tucker Carlson being ousted from Fox, a lot of people are making the argument that they were only throwing him out into the cold because of this Dominion settlement, even though Tucker didn't really say anything about Dominion. And now you have them trying to silence him, even though they don't have any more liability there. So it makes it perfectly clear that the purpose of casting him out wasn't like to settle a lawsuit. It was because they really didn't like what he was saying, and they're upset that he's saying it somewhere else now.
Yeah, I think it was both, though. I mean, look, they paid out almost a little over $750 million, right? So they're super sensitive to being sued again. At the same time, one of the things I learned, having worked in media as long as I did, is there is a tremendous amount of pettiness in the C-suite, especially when the hosts or particular hosts like Tucker become wealthy and powerful and beyond the reach of that C-suite, of management. They become that. It's not that they're seen as uncontrollable, because you got to extend your key employees a certain amount of trust, right? You got to let them be who they are, and they're adults and they're responsible. And Tucker never crossed lines, right? He was sensational, but that's what made him good. But they get jealous. It's weird. They get really jealous when the talent becomes more famous, more powerful than them. And I think this became an ego battle. So they say it's about the Dominion lawsuit, and they force him out, and he goha off on his own, and they think, haha, we've got him. He's going to go, bro. I mean, he's a wealthy guy. He's generationally wealthy now. He's fine. But he goes out there, he goes on Twitter, and then they start doing the math, and they realize, wait a second, if this guy takes even a third of his audience with him, and he charges them a couple of bucks a month, a few bucks a month, he's going to be doubling what we paid him. Well, he really doesn't need us. He's not going to come back and grovel. So now it just seems to me to be real petty nonsense. Like they're just going to try to make his life miserable because he doesn't need him.
I wonder how much of this is we must silence certain voices before 2024 or Trump wins. So James O'Keefe, Veritas not only freezes him, they then sue him.
Yep.
Fox News does the exact same thing. Now, look, maybe it's coincidental that almost at the exact same time, Veritas suspends O'Keefe but locks him in the company. Fox suspends Tucker but keeps him in the company. And then both get sued for trying to do their work, to continue their work. It seems a little bit odd. Just saying.
I think the O'Keefe situation was different, though. And I had some unique insight to this because I'm friendly with two different board members who are on opposite sides of the issue. And well, the old saying, right? There's two sides of the story and the truth is somewhere in the middle. But the one thing both of them agreed upon when they told me their versions, and I wasn't with them, was that O'Keefe was never fired, that he was benched, and that he did violate the NDA. And that's what they went after him for. And this was one.
Right. So, they tell James he can't work. And then when he says, I'm going to do my own thing, they say, we're suing you now to stop you from doing that. Well, so that's evil.
I'm with you on that. But what they had said, both of them said, well, it was more about the violation of the NDA and going out there. Now,
it's his NDA.
Well, but there's still a 501.
Yeah, I don't care.
I hear you. But lawyers are weird people, right? Lawyers look at things differently than we do.
Anybody at Veritas who is in agreement with what they're doing to James is an evil, despicable piece of garbage.
But Tim, I'm not arguing with you on that. I'm saying lawyers are lawyers.
Lawyers. The board hired lawyers to do this for them.
Sure.
James starts Project Veritas. He runs it, and everyone's behind him. Then they come and subvert him, benching him, whatever you want to call it, shutting down his ability to do his job. So what does he do? I'll start another company. Now they're suing him? The only intention perceivably is to stop James O'Keefe from doing his work.
Look, I'll play a devil's...
And look at what they're doing right now with Tucker. There's literally no reason to take his show off the air and then tell him he can't post Twitter videos.
I agree with you. What I'm saying is, because having been through dumb lawsuits on both sides as plaintiff and defendant in business, once you involve attorneys, things snowball out of control. So you can't deny that Veritas is inextricably linked to O'Keefe, right? It's his brand. He's the brand. They're one and the same. The minute lawyers got involved, this thing was going sideways. Same with Tucker. Because
in the exact same way?
Well, because look, they want to bill. And they know both organizations have deep pockets.
For what reason would you suspend someone and prohibit them from doing work?
Non-competes are enforced every day. I don't tend to agree with them how enforceable they are as a matter of law, but that's just what lawyers do because they want to rack up as many billable hours as they can. Look, I think the whole
you can't pass this off on lawyers. I reject that.
But how? If you're the board of a 501 and your law firm turns around and says
Project Veritas could have said, let's just let James do his thing.
Well, here's what I'm going to agree with you on that. I think the entire thing was the most ham-fisted, moronic PR exercise I've ever seen.
And Fox News all the same. If they don't want Tucker around, they just say, go do your thing.
Well, they should have told Tucker to go do his thing because Tucker's got a bit of a different situation there because he really, number one, different rules apply, right? I mean, one of the things that Veritas, whether it's valid or not, is that there was finances were mishandled. Now, I've spoken to some of their very big donors, and those big donors said, we don't care if O'Keefe flew on a solid gold Gulfstream 6. We didn't donate X dollars to nickel and dime him. We donated for results. He got us results. We don't care how he spent the money. If we gave him $5 million and he spent all but a penny on himself and got the job done, we're happy.
So James made the mistake of bringing on corrupt, envious scumbags to his board who have destroyed Project Veritas.
Well, look, I think the brand, right? The brand is him. But I think when you
and now they're trying to stop him from even doing more work. Look, these are evil people.
The lesson is this. I mean, you know this. You run a successful business, right? I've got partners. We're a small fund, but we do pretty well. Never bring adversaries onto a board of directors. It's the dumbest thing people do. Also, especially when you want to be a proprietary entity. There's this weird sense of nobility where people, and look, I'm going to say it here, right? No, I don't make any apologies for having moved on from Trump to DeSantis. Trump's personnel picks bear this out. If Trump had better personnel acumen, he'd be a very successful second-term president. This happens everywhere. So it's not unique to Veritas. Fox is a different animal because Tucker didn't pick the board. But James should have picked more wisely. But then again, he's a personality. He's not a business guy.
Yeah, he should not have started a nonprofit.
That's where I'm at.
Well, that too. The rules are
it's
far
tough
more.
to say because
He explained this.
Did create
how it started was that he wanted to do some work. He needed to raise money. He wasn't thinking of it as a commercial venture. So he said, "How do I raise money?" Well, if you got to be a 501c3. So I'll file for that. He was a young guy.
Sure.
For me, I've had other LLCs and other S corps and whatever, so I'm like, this is the structure that we use. And there are even arguments to be made for C corps over S corps for a variety of reasons.
That's right.
But going the nonprofit route put him in a particularly vulnerable position for the thing that he built. And then these evil people, these brain slug people, come in and destroyed Project Veritas. For what purpose other than because they're envious and evil people? End of story. James O'Keefe founded it. He's the leader of it. He's the one in charge. And if the donors are happy and the work was getting done, the only reason to interfere was because they were jealous, evil, or trying to destroy Veritas intentionally.
I don't think they were trying to destroy it, but I do think but they had no reason to destroy it because the money was coming in and the exposés were strong. I just think
why file a lawsuit?
Because I think people have power trips. And so they have power trips through tunnel vision, and they become crusaders, and they don't realize the collateral damage that's occurring when they become crusaders. I don't think it was a proactive, a career assassination of him. It turned into that. I just think a bunch of people said, well, we've got to do this. We're the board of directors. We're the austere board, and we don't care who the personality is. And in the real world, that's just moronic. That's not the way things work. And it snowballed out of control. But look, it bit them in the butt at the end of the day. The organization's never going to be the same. I get the emails. I don't look at them the same way.
I'm with you. I don't look at them the same way anymore.
Yeah, no, he does. But it's not just that. So is the argument then that these are the stupidest people on the planet? Because I don't buy it. Filing a lawsuit against James O'Keefe was basically publicly declaring you are shutting Veritas down.
Yeah, but the play devil's advocate on that, if in the bylaw, I didn't see him, but the way it was explained to me, in a 501, if you don't follow the rules, you could be prosecuted criminally. And so if lawyers step in, if you're a board member and you're one of the board members that was pro O'Keefe, now you've got a law firm sitting in front of you and a good one saying, look, guys, we wouldn't have advised you to go down this road, but you did. And if you don't do A, B, and C now,
bullshit.
And there is something, well, but here's my point. Once an attorney tells you that and says to you, you might be personally liable if you don't do these things that we're recommending, how many people are going to go out there and say, okay, bullshit. I'll take the personal liability?
Yeah. Because the actual real alternative is to say, make it above board, which would mean they go to James O'Keefe and say,
I agree with 100%.
Formal termination and we're clean. Have a nice day.
Tim,
or when James O'Keefe came out and said he was terminated, all they have to do is say, agreed. Or the idea that they're like, oh no, we're going to be prosecuted because James is violating his NDA.
Back up. Go one. I agree with you 100% here. What they should have done was call the attorneys in before they ever took action.
Yeah.
Sat O'Keefe at a table in a closed door room like this and said, hey guys, to the attorneys, hypothetically, if this were the situation with an executive here and we wanted to maintain the status quo and still be compliant, how could we go about that? And everybody could have shook hands and walked out of that room as friends.
Yeah.
That's where they screwed it up.
That's what makes me think it was an emotional response. That they just did it to him in public.
I think it was the way it was done.
Yeah, evil.
I've disagreed with.
Greedy.
I played devil's advocate because I've sat on boards, but the way it was done in terms of a PR exercise was devastating to the organization.
Unless it was on purpose.
I don't think it was. Like I said, I've spoken to both sides. Even the pro O'Keefe faction on the board didn't feel it was done on purpose. They felt like you, that it was a moronically horrible execution, but they didn't feel there was malice in it.
How is there anything other than a pro O'Keefe faction to what he started?
People get nervous if they think they're going to be personally sued or potentially could be prosecuted. They tend to change their perspective.
You resign.
It doesn't matter. You already knew about it. The minute you became aware of the situation, your resignation doesn't insulate you. That's the problem.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.